oddly, I think I had just come back from Italy for the first time, so I was all about everything Italian, right? Now, if you're a costume designer in New York, chances are you are going to do a slew of mafia projects because the impetus, the inspiration is there, the real life is there. And so I think I just talked about my first trip to Milan and Venice with David Chase, who is quintessentially Italian, albeit from New Jersey. And he was sort of talking about his family. And I don't really know if he went into the story of, Tony Soprano, but I think I was so in awe of his quiet largesse and his beautiful mind and his affinity and love for his familial story that not everyone has, right? And he was so eloquent in the way that he told his personal story that I was like, hey, I'm down. Like, if you want to hire this non-Italian, for your story, I'm so down. And I think they were just like, who is she? No one's ever heard of me. But she has some very bizarre takes on mafia stuff. Now, I will say that in my genes, I am someone who loves truth. And my favorite medium, besides art, is documentaries. So I was always trying to find the real in everything. And certainly The Sopranos is that. So much so that years later in Los Angeles, one of my dearest friends has that upbringing in Chicago and told me quite recently on a job together that he and his cousins would call him and say, oh my God, have you watched that Sopranos? Like, it's real. It's our lives. And they were like, whoever's doing these clothes, like, knew something. What did she know? And he was like, it was fucking you. Like, how did that happen? And I think it's that thing that you said about being an observer, or wanting to get to the absolute truth of the human being in front of you, the very center of them, which can come out to tell a story. If you don't believe that it's genuine and true, if you have to think, is this real or fiction, no one's going to buy it. And so I really, really, really wanted to have the absolute truth, which is the beautiful part of that world. At its very heart, The Sopranos was a love story and a family story. There was just some fucked up shit going down and some murders, on the side. But at its very beautiful center, it is the story of a human family undergoing many changes, talking about psychology. And my crazy story with David Chase was when I got the job, he was like, well, how would you feel about going out to Jersey and doing some research? And I was like, that's exactly what I want. I don't want to tell, somebody else's version of the mafia story. I want it to be your story, where you're from. And he goes, great. Here's the address. This is my uncle's shop. And he goes, just go there, see how they dress, see how they are, and get back to me. So I did. In those days, it was like, wow, I get a car with my job. I get to go to Jersey, like this other country, this like strange abstract place. And I had my little Man Ray with me in the little bag. And people weren't carrying that secret bag where you could hide your dogs then. So no one really knew that it was a dog bag. So I didn't carry a purse because, I'd seen one too many Almodovar films. What was it, Nikita? Where everything was on your body. So I just wanted the dog bag, my cigarettes at the time, and no purse, just lots of pockets, right? So I go there, and I guess it's weird that I don't have a purse. It's a strange little storefront with like 5 shirts. That's it. I mean, I'm exaggerating, but there was like maybe 10 things in there. And I'm walking around and I'm talking to his uncle or cousin that ran the shop. And I was like, wow, you don't carry a lot of merchandise. And he goes, oh, yeah, we do. We do. Just don't have it in today. And I'm like, cool. Well, David said to buy these real things for the show. And in those days, they would hand you a wad of petty cash. You wouldn't have like a purchasing card. And you'd have to put it everywhere and hope that nobody took it from you on the subway. And I didn't have enough money. These things were so expensive. This like normal short sleeve rayon button front Coolio shirt was so much money. I was like, I came from fashion. And it wasn't like, I'm sorry, David Chase, it wasn't like Armani. It was like Varmani, you know, like someone else's cousin of Armani. And I was like, come on. But I wanted to be respectful. That was his family. And I was like, I can't remember his name, Mr. I don't have enough cash. And so I'm going to have to take less. But that's kind of a gamble because I need multiples of everything. And he goes, oh, that's no problem. There's a bank close by, an ATM. And I'm like, cool, I'll go get some more money. And he goes, I'll take you. And it scared the shit out of me because he was like leaning in. I'll take you. Wait, before he did that, he goes, you don't have a bag. You don't have a bag. He said it like that. And I'm like, no, I don't carry them. I just have this bag. And I think I showed him that my dog was inside. I'm like, who needs two? You know, I don't even carry purses. And he goes, they're bags. And do you want to see any? Do you want one? And I was like, yes, is that the, yes, I would like to see your bags. And he takes me to this back room. I'm like, oh, I'm going to get killed. I'm going to get killed. Sorry, Mom, that this is the way I'm going to go. And he opens up this back door and it's filled with bags. And I'm like, so you have menswear, but you carry women's bags. And he goes, yeah, you know, they fell off somewhere and maybe a truck, I don't know. And so it's a side business. Do you want one? I'll give you one. I'm like, no, don't give me anything. I don't want you to give me anything. And then he goes, okay, let's go to the bank. And I'm like, okay, I can drive myself and be right back. He goes, no, I'm taking you. I told you that. Very definitive. So I don't know cars. I still don't know cars. So we go outside and there's like a car that looks like it's made out of real gold. I will say that. I don't know what kind it was. And I'm like, is it okay to go in like this? Like I had my work clothes, probably overalls. And he goes, get in. And I'm like, oh God, I'm going to die. And like the doors lock and I don't even see any locks. It's like that fancy. And I'm just like, just keep talking. It's going to just keep talking and you won't get killed. And we pull up probably close by. It felt like hours to get there. And I get out and I'm like, he's going to shoot me in the back. And all the money that I don't have is going to, he's going to take it and I'll just be dead on the street in Jersey. And I get back in, he goes, cool. Are you nervous? You look nervous. And I'm like, no, I'm not nervous. And I'm probably shaking. And then we go back, and that's the transaction. And it was like a huge education as to how things work. And probably half of it was just taking the piss out of me to see if I could handle it, And I did. And I was really like, fuck, this is really cool. This is like how it's done. Like you got to go to the bank and you got to get a bag and, all of it, no. And I go back and I don't say any of the juicy stuff to David. I was just like, hey, they don't carry a lot of merchandise. He goes, nope, they don't. And I'm sure it was that kind of positioning to make me take in the real. And often in life, I think for everybody, but certainly for myself, the real in the clothing is not the clothing at all. It's not what's on the exterior. It's a way of kind of, I don't know, psychically going to the inside of the human to know what kind of choices they would make, if that makes sense. And I think that's my kind of inside out way of working, because it certainly happened again with Michael Mann. Michael Mann, for luck, was like, I need you to go between these crazy hours when the real gamblers come to a place nearby Los Angeles. I can't remember. It was an Asian-owned, I think, casino in an Asian area. And sure enough, like any time after one or two until the sun comes up was the real meat of those characters. And he was like, I just need you to walk around and give me that for real. So that was my way in to Luck, the TV show. Mm-hmm. So these men, they know what they're doing. They're like, is she down to experience the real so that it's not a lie on screen?